So just typically clean house.
Happy Wednesday.
All right, guys. Outstanding wrestler Wyatt Hendrickson.
How much fun are you having this season?
I'm having a lot of fun. I'm really fortunate that the Department of the Air Force and the World Class Athlete Program allowed me the year to compete in college while still training for LA 2020. That's the big goal, but I got a lot of short goals I still want to fulfill this season.
What is the biggest difference for you this year? Obviously, it's a different environment, you have different obligations, but what's the biggest difference for you this year? I
think time is a big difference. I think I wouldn't be having the success here without the foundation built at the United States Air Force Academy. Having the foundation built of time management, it's a lot easier to manage my time here. I still got a good amount of things I'm doing. I'm finding new hobbies to keep me busy, but at the same time, I'm having plenty of time for recovery, extra time, lifting, or extra technique, whatever it has to be. I can get it all in.
Does your body feel different because you don't have some of those other obligations?
I think sometimes it's easier to get some extra sleep in on the weekends. There's a trade-off with that. I was doing a lot of cool stuff at the Air Force Academy. We can jump out of planes. I was flying gliders. So, I can't do that stuff here, but the trade-off is I do get to get some extra recovery and get some good sleep in.
How often do you check in with your commanding officer at Tinker?
So I am actually stationed in San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio?
Yes. So
Okay.
my service base is Tinker.
Right.
But I'm still attached to the Department of the Air Force, the Air Force Service Center. I just talked to him last week. Usually I'll go, whenever I'm in town, he's actually also in Colorado, so I'll go see him. At Christmas, I'm going to see my girlfriend and my family. But my time there is pretty minimal right now. Mostly they're expecting me to come here train every day, which I am. So as long as I'm doing that, they trust me that I'm doing that. They don't need to maybe look over my shoulder because they see that I want to be a Olympic champion and a national champion.
Did you send him a text or email of outstanding wrestler? There's proof there.
He sent me a nice text and said, "Hey, good job, by the way." So yeah, they're still touching and watching the competitions.
Okay, that's good.
What are the new hobbies?
So I used to hunt when I was little. I'm hunting again. My roommate Cameron Amin got my first buck in Oklahoma last week, which was a lot of fun. Doing that, going shooting a lot more. Besides shooting animals, just going to the range with a couple guys. So there's a lot of guys that have a lot of different hobbies on the team, which is awesome. And so I can kind of, whatever I'm doing for the day, just send someone on the team, whatever that they're doing. If it's shooting or going to the lake or anything, I'll just be like, I can find a guy who loves to do that in his free time. So it's a good way to bond with the guys too, doing different things.
Where do you guys go hunting?
So there's a couple spots of land out of town, just some local friends we got. We usually maintain their property, but with that they also let us shoot a couple big deer along the way.
You talked about how you grew up an OSU fan and would watch a lot of OSU wrestling growing up. What was your, I'm curious, back then perception of the Bedlam rivalry? So
I didn't really think too much of it. I actually didn't understand what it was either. Now I see it's a pretty big deal, We've always had rivalries at every school. Even at Air Force we had rivalries, but I think this is something a little different. It seems to have a little more weight to it because in a state like Oklahoma, they eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling. So having, even with all sports, just athletics is a lot. There's a big competition between OU and OSU, so kind of being a part of that, it feels pretty good. I think I actually went to one of the duels, and all I knew was a big event. All I knew is that a lot of people were there, and it was a pretty intense matchup. So I'm excited to finally be in it.
Can you compare the exhilaration of shooting a buck and putting an opponent on his back?
So here's the thing: as soon as I put someone on their back, I kind of calm down because I know the match is over. But as soon as you see a buck walk out, if you've never experienced it, you're just like, it's the buck fever. My heart rate's probably higher shooting a buck. I think it might be easier to pin someone, to be honest with you, because as soon as I kind of get them exposed, I'm like, okay, I breathe, I just finished the match, I know it's kind of over. But shooting a buck, until that trigger is pulled and I see him go down, I'm just sitting there, just shaking like crazy. So I'd rather pin someone than have to, shoot down a big buck. But it is fun and rewarding.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Can you describe what rivalries at the Air Force are like? I imagine it's different there than it is maybe a typical.
Yeah, so our biggest rivalry was against UNC in Northern Colorado. It was the last duel of the year every single season. So, I think, and that's one thing with those big rivalries is the hostility just jumps because of, we have a lot of duels here against a lot of other teams. I guarantee you if you compare a regular duel Oklahoma State has or, at Air Force, a duel versus your biggest opponent, the rivalry, it's just a lot more you know, hostile, like I said. So, I mean, it's never going to be like, oh yeah, there's a little bit here and there, but you know, every single time something happens, you can just hear the crowd. It's a lot more, I'd say a little more pressure in a way, but like I love pressure, so to me it doesn't really bother me. But you know, it wasn't, you know, with that there's different fans that show up, and getting onto a military installation sometimes isn't the easiest thing to do, but I'm just excited to, you know, go to OU and wrestle with this team.
The way y'all talked about it at Air Force, like the wrestlers, was that the way we would think y'all would talk about a rivalry, or is it different because you're at a service academy?
I think it's pretty similar. I mean, we're still we've got a lot of different athletic teams there, and we still travel, do the same stuff as we do here. You know, there it's a little bit. I wouldn't say it's a little bit more serious, a little less serious. It's probably pretty similar, I would say, just on a different level.
Are you excited for Coach Taylor to experience his first Bedlam duel?
Yeah, Coach Taylor. He's a unique coach. The way he responds to stuff is, you know, he's obviously been in this sport for a long time. He's got a lot of expertise in it, and you know, it's if you go up to a shooting event and you're a really good shooter and you try to critique the best shooter, you know, it's in this instance, Coach Taylor is like you can't really talk against him. You know, he's shown his mastery in the sport. It's hard to, you know, talk bad on someone or up someone who's already, you know, been there, done that. It's rare to have a coach like that in modern era. You know, John Smith was that previous coach. He'd, you know, Olympic gold medalist. You know, he had a lot of criteria, but now, you know, Coach Taylor's that, you know, John Smith reincarnated nowadays. So it's kind of hard to be against someone who's done so much for the sport of wrestling and the United States of America.
How's your personality different than your daily personality was at AFA? Because that's an intense, all the time.
Yeah.
Are you a little looser now?
I think I'm a little bit, absolutely. A lot of, you know, they kind of do that on purpose, though. They want to shape us to be war fighters, give us that war fighter mentality. And with that, you can't have a bunch of free time to do whatever you want. You need to, you know, everything we do is focused, and it's dedicated time to building our craft as an Air Force officer. So here, I think, like I said, I built that foundation, so now I have the opportunity to relax. You know, if I did that out of the gate, probably wouldn't be as, you know, the best wrestler, wouldn't be the person I am today. So definitely having that foundation, it's a lot easier to be able to relax, but still be able to turn that switch on whenever I need to.
What's it like being a part of this team and seeing the early success you guys have had?
It's exciting. I mean, it's still early season. It's not even Christmas yet, and you know, it's obviously shown on the mat that we're working our butts off. We're listening to the coaches. We're going. We're competing. We're getting that feedback, and we're ultimately using it to become better wrestlers. I think we still got a lot of time to be great. We're not even close to peaking yet.
What's it like for you watching the other guys go earlier?
It's really exciting. My favorite person to wrestler is definitely Dean Hamidi, DJ. Whenever he's out there, it's effortless. He finds a way to just jump and grab ankles, and it's just exciting. I'm just sitting there with a smile on my face watching them all, you know, throw people down, take people down, tech them, and just ultimately out there having a good time, because that's what it's all about, you know. Wrestling's fun, and that's why we wrestle, because we enjoy it. Winning's also fun too, but just seeing the guys out there having a good time, enjoy themselves, that's what it's all about.
Caleb comes out, he's going to redshirt, and then comes out and does it. How big is that for this team to see that?
It was exciting. I remember when we talked about Caleb redshirting, it kind of broke my heart. I was like, I want to travel. He's one of my good friends here on the team, and I mean, really, I'm close with most of the guys, but you know, Caleb and I have that special connection. You know, obviously, we're both transfers coming in here, and we just kind of hit it off right off the bat. And I remember talking to him. He was like, I didn't even know. So this is funny. I didn't hear they were redshirting him until later on, till like we're getting close to competition. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm redshirting. And then I didn't know that they pulled his red shirt either, and I was like, oh, they're pulled your red shirt. So, I mean, Caleb's just focused, you know, he's focused on himself, becoming a better wrestler. And, you know, I had to kind of prime, like, wait a second, so you are wrestling? And he was like, yeah, well, you didn't know that? And I'm like, no. So that was a really exciting moment to see him go out there and, you know, compete and do what he loves.
So wait, when did you find out that he was going to wrestle?
The week we were leaving for Las Vegas. I was like, he was talking about some logistics, like as if I already knew. And I'm like, wait a second, hold on. You're doing what again? He's like, yeah, I'm going, because I'm like, oh, they pulled your red shirt. So that's exciting. I get to, you know, be at the NCAA tournament with him. I was kind of bummed out because, you know, if you're red shirt, you don't get to travel and do all the fun stuff. But not, you know, there's still fun stuff you get to do, but not as fun, I'll say. But now he's part of the journey to NCAA's 2025.
What would you say about this team?
It's just impressive to see how coachable they are. I think having a whole new set of staff besides Coach Caldwell come in, it sometimes can be different and difficult to get behind their, you know, their take on wrestling, and I think everyone kind of fully immersed themselves into becoming better wrestlers, and had that at the front of their minds when the coaches came in. And I mean, you see that it's hard to change a wrestler that's been wrestling for 17, 18 years and just, you know, have someone come in and say, hey, this is a better way to do it, and just, you know, believe them off the bat. But like I said, Coach Taylor is just, he's mastered his craft at wrestling, and there's not really a position in the sport that he hasn't been in himself, competed in, wrestled, or done. So it's just, people are really, they're all in. They put their yes on the table, as you call it.
You've obviously had a ton of success and been a fan favorite pretty much everywhere you've been, but David said there were a lot of OSU fans, even in Vegas. Just kind of what has it been like to be on a team that's kind of got this fanfare around it? It's exciting. I think, you know, as you know, Oklahoma and Stillwater's a wrestling town, wrestling state, so with that, a lot of people love to travel and keep supporting them, so that's just exciting that everywhere we go, there's always going to be a couple OSU fans there supporting us.
Are the crowds different here than they were at airports?
Yeah, a little bit different, yeah. Usually, I mean, I think with every school you go to, it's a little bit different. Like I said at Air Force, you know, sometimes people might get intimidated on going to a military installation, but, you know, different sports have different fan bases. You know, our football games were awesome, and, you know, the wrestling duels were also a lot of fun, but I think it's hard to even compare any school to, you know, I think if you go, you know, any of the transfers, this crowd's going to be different than it was previously, just because of, you know, the legacy that Oklahoma State wrestling has on this town.
Did you play football ever?
I did play football until my freshman year of high school. I decided to quit just because I did not want to hurt myself in any way, have that change my wrestling career, so I decided to take a step back and pursue wrestling full time.
Have there been coaches throughout that time that have tried to get you back in, I imagine?
No, but I kind of wish. I kind of wish. Sometimes I always joked, like, you know, if a football team had a bad game, which, you know, what happens, you win, you lose, I'm just joking around like, man, like, I should go down there, just get some pads, grab a helmet, go out there, and they're like, you should. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I mean, I think about it, but I mean, who knows? I'll be here for 4 more years wrestling at the RTC. So, I mean, I think I might still have eligibility for football. I don't know how it works, but might try it out. We'll see.
Your high school coach, was he disappointed when you told him you're stepping away, or did you kind of hit a growth spurt after that?
I was 160 my freshman year, so
okay.
It was not very much of a game changer. I started off at 160, and I finally went 182, 195, 220, you know, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. So I wasn't too much of a prospect at that time.
Yeah.
You mentioned Coach Caldwell earlier. He's a Wichita guy.
Yes.
He was, you know, the one coach retained on staff. How important was it for you to have that connection, I guess, when you came?
Yeah, I've known Coach Caldwell for a long time, you know, since I was as early as, you know, 11, 12 years old, watching him wrestle, and just, you know, he's been a family friend of some other wrestlers on the team. So kind of having him and talking with him throughout that whole process was a big deal that, you know, I hoped he could stay on the staff, because he's been able to give me some insights, you know, my whole wrestling career, and that's a big, you know, he was my main points of contact on the Oklahoma State wrestling team when I was looking to, you know, come here after my visit. So it was pretty exciting, and it was a special moment when I heard that, you know, he was going to be able to stick around, because I think it was a good choice. I mean, he's a great coach. There's no reason to, you know, push away talent where you need it. So I'm glad they decided to keep him, and, you know, he still coaches me throughout the weeks before competitions.
Anything else? All right.
Thanks, man.